The church isn't Starbucks, right? Let that one settle in. And so what do I mean by that? If you know anything about Starbucks, you understand that, Starbucks did something I call it, they monetized the third space, right? They talk about how everybody has three spaces in their life. They have their home space, they've got their workspace, and they've got their community space. And what Starbucks wanted to do was be that third space where you can come in, you can buy a $17 cup of coffee, hang out, and just kind of do things. They kind of stole some of who the church was and monetized it and are making millions off of it, or billions or whatever. So what I try to remind people, and whether we're doing this as a search with the church and letting people know, hey, this is why, it can be difficult for people going through a transition, or talking to people that are going through transition in themselves, is to remind you that, hey, the church isn't Starbucks. Starbucks looks at this as most people have three spaces in their lives, but the dirty little secret of ministry is that ministry people don't have three spaces. Okay. We only have one. Let that sink in for a minute. And I'm not going to talk about whether that's good or bad. I think it's just kind of an is thing, because, if you are in ministry, your workspace is deeply connected with what's going on in your family, is deeply connected with what's going on in your community. And so there's a blending of all three of those spaces that a plumber doesn't necessarily have to worry about, right? A plumber can go to work, a plumber can go, work on toilets, and a plumber can go to church. A pastor, a minister, they go to church, and they go to church, and they go to church, right? So when we leave, or if we are in a season of transition, we disrupt all three of those spaces in our lives at the very same time. We are upending our work life, we're upending our community life, and frankly, we're upending our family life because of how committed and how deeply connected in to our church our family is as well. And this is one of those things where if it isn't that connected, there's probably something going on deeper, and it's a good reason to move on. But for the most part, this is going to be a tough, this will be a tough season. And a lot of times what we found is that, people in transition don't have the ability to come alongside and talk with somebody in a safe space to kind of process this. And so many times we are just kind of processing this with our spouses and feeling kind of alone in this season. And so if that's the experience that you're having, you're not alone. It can be uncomfortable. It can be really isolating and feel lonely, but that's kind of part of the price we pay going into ministry.
I don't know until you've actually gone through this once, and most of us have been through this probably at least once in our ministry career. But once you've gone through this, you really do. Maybe you've never thought about it, but all three of these spheres are so interconnected that you don't have it. You're losing your support system in a lot of different ways with your community and your church and your career. So, no, absolutely. I think this is a good point that, again, this can cause some people to kind of question whether or not they really want to move on, because the ramifications of making that call are quite profound, not just for you, but for your spouse and for your kids and your entire family.